Donal, I feel like I should start with you. Matt finally got a new wardrobe.
Yeah, you saw that. Yeah, I mean, I know there was fans that were excited about that, but I was pretty excited myself, really, to start kind of changing my socks and my shoes and to actually not be trudging around in a big kind of coat / carpet. But I really love my costume actually in this season. Yeah.
I mean, on a more serious note, I think when we pick up with Matt, it does feel like to a point, and if there's another part of this question that I'll get to, but it does feel like to a point he has sort of come back to his old self. I mean, we see him, flirting with the ladies, gambling, playing Maiden's Kiss with Bane and Shiad. But I'm wondering for you, what was it like to kind of balance that sort of playful side of Matt that we all know versus this side of him that is definitely dealing with some effects from the Horn from the end of last season?
Yeah, I mean, I think that is it's a great gift as like an actor to have such a clear contrast between what's going on from externally and what's going on from internally, and that I think what's great about it is that that you can understand the motivation of how he presents himself to his friends, is that he wants to encourage everyone to like enjoy the day that they're in and like hopefully not worry too much about what's in store for them, because like, I think the moments of like connection for them as friends are so fleeting and so precious. I think he can kind of understand that, and I think it helps motivate all of the Emond's Field gang to remember where they're coming from, like why are they friends in the first place. And then like internally, I think what it kind of reveals is that he either kind of contains it, and then it kind of the only space in which he explores it is privately, or you see him learn to trust people and to kind of open up to Nynaeve or men, or I think he's selective about that, opening that cavern, because naturally I think that's the modus operandi of people that kind of work in the world that way, that like their job is to kind of go like, don't worry about me, like what's going on with you, and that like those people often, sometimes they're it might be an avoidance thing of like they don't want to get into that conversation, but also they're normally pretty generous as well, and I recognize that in Matt's character of just wanting to hold space for his mates.
I mean, speaking of like sort of the beginning of this premiere, which kind of sees this group really forced to think about what they want to do next. I mean, I think they're all at a turning point. And Marcus, for Perrin, I think, we see him make the decision to go back to the Two Rivers, but it's safe to say he's going to be met with some challenges once he gets there. And I know you and I had spoken about this a little bit, kind of teeing it up for, this season. But what was it like to actually go back to that set for this part of Perrin's story, especially while he's wrestling with how he sees himself, or whether he even sees himself as a natural leader?
Yeah, no, I think there was like that experience is the kind of the duality of like returning, this as a cast member, and like knowing that we filmed there in 2019, and with, how much has changed there on the show and the world and everything, and before COVID and all this kind of stuff. So it was really surreal. You kind of felt like, someone showed me a picture of myself in 2019 on set, and do you know what I mean? It was kind of just like, wow. So there was all these kind of emotions going back, and obviously, and then there's, as the character going back and kind of, wanting this, your home, your safe haven to be the same thing, and then realizing that actually like it can't exactly be the same, and a lot has changed, and he has to deal with all the trauma, and there's a very visceral reaction to going back to certain places when he goes to the Two Rivers, that there might be sort of like a finite kind of moment there where you can actually like have this grief kind of that he's been taking with him on this journey. Going back to the Two Rivers might be a moment that helps him get over it. But also, yeah, there's people there who he needs to meet, and there's a lot of challenges with the Whitecloaks and the trollocs encroaching, and yeah. So I think that idea of kind of this peaceful life of returning back home quickly kind of doesn't come to fruition. But I think he's become this kind of different person now, whether he likes it or not. A bit like Matt, he's slowly kind of becoming someone that he might not be able to see, but hopefully some of the others can start to kind of point out these kind of, there's a reason why people are looking to him, or there's a reason why people look to him for help. And yeah, that kind of evolves throughout the season.
Speaking of people that Perrin meets, in the lead up to us talking about season 3, obviously the news broke about casting for a character that book fans know is very important, becomes very important in Perrin's life. So I wanted to know what you could tease about working with Isabella, that experience. You know, she's been cast as Fael, how that relationship develops over, or how we'll see it develop over season 3.
Yeah, no, Isabella is incredible. I was just saying there's a lot of characters he meets throughout, especially through season 2, whether it be the Shannarans or Elias or Avienda. And I always thought there's a scene with Avienda where she kind of has a little flirty, playful moment with him in season 2, but it's almost like he can't comprehend that. He's nowhere near that yet. And I think, you know, by the time that Fael comes in, he started to lift his head up a little bit. There's a little bit more open to do something, whoever it is. And Isabella's incredible. She brought a completely new energy to the show, which I think on a 3rd season is very hard to do. And there's a yin yang. I'm sort of this gentle giant. She's like this little kind of feisty machine. And I think they kind of just work with each other. And I think that naturally happened through the casting process. I kind of kept on saying to Rafe, like, I think it's a real opportunity to see someone that we haven't met before. I know it's hard on a 3rd season, but there's a character here that I just think could offer something different. And yeah, she brought that in this season. I'm so excited for everyone to see her performance.
Yeah, I mean, I can speak to, as someone who's seen the first 2 episodes, fantastic work so far. Honestly, it's great to be back in this world. I'm excited for everyone else to see it. Thank you both so much for taking the time to sit and talk. It's always a pleasure. Hopefully we'll get to do it again soon, but I really appreciate your time today.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your questions. Thank you so much.